Hello, hello, friends. It's Raquel with Our Infinite Nature here with your energy forecast for the upcoming Libra full moon with eclipse, lunar eclipse, on March 25th. And I hope you all are doing well. We are officially in eclipse season now, friends. And I know sometimes when I say that, it can kind of activate some people to be like, oh gosh, eclipse season, what's going to happen? Because often during eclipse season, things do happen. Things we cannot control often happen. And that's actually a big theme of the eclipse season. But what I am picking up on intuitively for this particular Libra full moon eclipse is really the theme of balance. And the intuitive guidance I got for the theme for this particular new moon is balance is our birthright. So a few days before the full moon in Libra, a few days before we have this full moon in Libra on March 25th, we actually have the spring equinox and the start of Aries season on March 19th. Now, if you're watching this video on or before March 19th, you can head over to my moon blog, which I've linked below, and I have some more information about the spring equinox there. But I'm not going to talk too much about that here because I really want to dive into the energies of the full moon Libra with the eclipse. But I do want to take note that what we're feeling with the spring equinox, equinoxes are always about balance. Equinox, literally, we have two equinoxes, one in the spring, one in the autumn, and they are literally the days that we are as close as we can possibly get to equal amount of time in daytime as in nighttime, equal amount of sunlight as darkness, right? And so themes of equinoxes are always about balance. Spring equinox in particular also brings in the themes of what do we want to grow for this next season. We're kind of moving out of the dormancy of winter into the productivity of spring and summer. And so there's this question for us with what we want to grow. And with the start of Aries season, the start of the zodiac new year, Aries energy being very fiery and very inspiring, very activating, we have a lot of this energy of like, what do I want to grow? What do I want to grow? But here's the thing, when eclipses come around and when we're in eclipse energy, that is not actually the best moment for us to do a lot of co-creation, to do a lot of manifestation, because during eclipse season, the universe takes a hold of the wheel and we are asked to sit shotgun, to try not to drive or even navigate, to just be the passenger in the car for the month and go with the flow. And we're going to talk a lot more about that. So, with this Libra full moon on March 25th, we also have this theme of balance. Libra is the cardinal air sign ruled by Venus. Libra is represented literally by the scales, weighing scales, creating equality, creating balance. Libra loves balance, especially balance in relationships, right? Balance with the relationship with self. And when we talk about balancing the relationship with self, we're really talking about integrating those emotions that we tend to suppress, repress, that we don't want around, really integrating them with those emotions that we do want around. It's kind of embracing our fullness. But Libra also is all about relationships with others and relationships with the world at large as well. Libra loves equality, fairness, justice. These are important values and themes for Libra. Now, on the shadow side, Libra can, because they're so diplomatic, and because they really do want everyone to be happy, they can tend to fall into a lot of the fawn response in the nervous system, which is people pleasing, which is putting other people's needs in front of our own, rolling over onto our belly, showing our belly and really being like submissive in a lot of ways. Libra energy, when it's in the shadowy side, can definitely do a lot of people pleasing, a lot of fawning. Libra can also get really indecisive at moments when more in the shadowy realms of its expression. And there can be a lack of confrontation every now and then with Libra. Now, Libra, when they're in a higher form of expression, can actually kind of lean in toward confrontation especially when they feel like they're doing so in advocation for others. But when it's sometimes for themselves, they can really avoid confrontation, even to the detriment of their own authenticity. So see, these are some of like the shadowy aspects of Libra. In addition, one of the things I was picking up intuitively with this particular Libra full moon with eclipse is a little bit more of the kind of anxious energy in the mind in particular. So a little bit more fast-paced energy that can lead to some ruminating, spirally thoughts in the mind. So if you're feeling a bit anxious leading up to this full moon, or you're feeling anxious on or right around this full moon, that is part of this very airy, cerebral Libra energy coming in. And often what happens with fast-paced energy, when we don't know how to work with that fast-paced energy, which is actually often intuitive and psychic energy as well, which is also very fast-paced, when we don't know how to actually move that energy and flow that energy through our body, it manifests as anxiety, especially when we keep it in the third eye. When we keep it in the mind, it totally turns into anxiety. So if you're finding that anxiety is coming up within you around this full moon, go into any kind of somatic practices that are going to help you get into your body, whether that's going for a walk, a swim, dance, yoga, anything to really get you moving and kind of get the energy flowing out of your head is really going to help if you're feeling anxious at all around this full moon. Okay. So I just wanted to state that first and foremost. But going back to the theme of balance, one of the really big things coming through with this eclipse season and with this Libra full moon is balance within our relationships, specifically balance within the relationships that we value, like our partnerships, our good friends, the people we work with, the people whose like proximity to our life is important, of value to us. And what we're being tasked to look at and to be aware of with this particular Libra full moon is there a reciprocity within these relationships? Are we giving to these relationships? Are we giving the same amounts of respect, kindness, compassion, love that we want to receive from these people as well? And are we actually receiving the levels of love and kindness and respect and compassion that we truly desire from the important relationships in our life? Don't be surprised if there are a few relationships that come to the surface during this full moon that are just kind of showing you that the reciprocity isn't there. And by no means am I saying toss them, like get rid of those people. No. But what I am saying is be aware of your own energy input and recognize perhaps this is a relationship that I don't put so much energy into since I'm not receiving output in return, right? We're really looking at the reciprocity within these relationships. So that's a big theme, particularly with this Libra full moon. So some of the questions we can really ask ourselves if we're feeling activated around relationships in particular is this relationship feeling like it's giving to me? Does it also feel like I am giving to it? Like, is there really a nice back and forth of energy between us within this relationship? Now, I want to speak a little bit about eclipse energy in particular, because eclipse seasons are energetically different than the rest of the year. You know, as co-creators here on planet Earth, we love to manifest. We love to make things happen. We love to, you know, go into the energies, think about things, and then actually physically bring them into the world. That's part of the reason why we're even here, I believe. But during eclipse season, we're actually asked to kind of slow our roll when it comes to co-creation and manifestation. During eclipse season, it's kind of the time when the universe, creator, God, whatever word you want to use, the powers that be kind of take a look at the playing board and are like, I think we need to move some pieces around so that the whole collective moves in the direction that will be a direction of benefit to all. Eclipse seasons are times of fate, of destiny. And big changes often do occur, whether they're personally or for the collective during eclipse season in particular. So what I've learned in my spiritual growth and development is that the energies of eclipse season are more chaotic than energies we receive at other times of the year. They're powerful, they're transformative, but they're kind of chaotic, and they're not necessarily the best energies for us to harvest and use for magical reasons. So for example, I love making moon water. I love charging my crystals under the full moon. I do not do either of those things during eclipse season. I love also working with the energies of new moons and full moons, doing release rituals around full moons and manifestation rituals around new moons. I don't do that during eclipse season either. During eclipse season, I am not actively trying to change anything. Instead, my task is to flow with the changes that are occurring, or just to kind of be aware of what's happening and to keep asking myself, what is the most aligned move from here? What is the most aligned move from here? And often during eclipse season, the most aligned thing we can do is to kind of get out of the way. Like just kind of get out of the way of the changes that are happening. Often we get in our own way when we try to force and control and manipulate things. But during eclipse season, we're asked to kind of just like let that go, to just let ourselves be the passenger for a while, let ourselves be driven for a little bit, and to kind of release the pressure we place on ourselves to always make things happen. Now, I do want to state that I am launching a book during this eclipse season. In fact, my next book, Self Care for Eco Anxiety, is launching the day after the total solar eclipse, new moon in Aries. So it's launching on April 9th. And I'll be sharing a lot more about that with the video for the new moon in Aries solar eclipse. But sometimes in life, we are in very co-creative moments during eclipse season. And for me, and this is really funny because my last book, Everyday Plant Magic, also launched during an eclipse season. And again, I do not choose when these books come out. That is all my publishing house. So it's just a little synchronous that both of my last two books released the day after an eclipse. But for me, I kind of like it because it kind of takes the pressure off of me as the author to be the person to make sure I get all like the press and all the things. Like, yes, I have been planning a lot of events around the book launch now, but once we're like real in eclipse season at this point in time, I'm not actively going out and hustling and trying to make things happen. If things come to me, I will flow with it, but I'm not trying to make it happen. So for me as the author, it's actually kind of nice to be like, hey, I did my work. I'm done. Now let's see what the universe wants to do with this book, and I'm just going to flow with what comes my way. So that's a really good example of how we shift our own actions, our own energy around eclipse season. Now, one thing I do want to mention with this particular eclipse season, because it is kind of a sequel to the eclipse that happened back in October of 2023. And we will have more eclipses within this particular Libra and Aries axis coming in the fall as well of 2024. But what I've been picking up intuitively around this eclipse season around the theme of balance is really about balancing the heart chakra, especially balancing the heart chakra for the collective. Because what is very apparent to me as an energy worker, and maybe to many of you as spiritual conscious people, is that the human collective has a major leak and imbalance within our collective heart space. And I just want to talk briefly about the heart chakra, the energy of the heart chakra, and what the symptoms of an imbalance within the heart chakra are, along with what can we do to try and help create balance again. So the heart chakra is the chakra that governs unconditional love, not self-love, unconditional love, love for life, love for all that is. It's also the energy center that governs acceptance, compassion as well. And it relates to the fourth layer of the auric field, which I call our relational body. So when we are in the heart chakra, we are talking a lot about our relationships with others. As people who are intuitive or highly empathic, when we spend a lot of time in our heart space, because of its relational quality, we end up taking on other people's emotions, other people's energies, without always realizing that we're doing so. And when we spend a lot of time in the heart chakra without that awareness, it can get real heavy in there real quick. And we can feel as though everything that we're feeling in this space belongs to us, when often we're holding a lot of energies within the heart chakra that were never ours to begin with. Okay. So that's something that's really important to know from an energy medicine perspective. Additionally, with the heart chakra, with this theme of unconditional love, one of the highest expressions of the heart chakra is sacred neutrality. Neutrality, not apathy, neutrality. And what I mean by neutrality is that we can look at all things that are happening in this world and see how the universe can view it with love. We can look at everything that's happening in this world, even the things that we don't like, even the things that are painful and hard to look at, even the things that we don't want to be in existence, but that are. We can look at all of it and accept it. Accept it for the reality that is without resisting it. And it also allows us to care about this world and about the suffering in this world without leaking our energy out of the space. What most of us do, most of us very, very caring, empathic people, we care so much about this world and we care so much about the injustices that we see that we end up leaking our own energy from our heart space out into the world. We're not shining our energy, our light out in a way that is rippling out to others and increasing the energetic vibration. We're leaking our energy out, taking away from our own energy and creating more of an imbalance within this particular energy center. So, what are some symptoms of an imbalance within the heart chakra? Anytime we find ourselves deep in judgment, whether that is self-judgment or judgment of others, we are imbalanced within the heart chakra, because the heart chakra is acceptance, non-judgment, acceptance, unconditional love. Judgments are conditions, always, always. I'm not saying our judgments are always wrong or always right. Again, right or wrong, human conditions, okay? All I'm saying is judgments are conditional and the heart chakra is unconditional love. When we find ourselves deep, deep, deep in resistance, when we don't want to take a look at what is, and when we try to deny the truth of what is or revise history to fit a current narrative, these are imbalances within the heart chakra. When we decide that one type of people is undeserving because of who they are, and we lump all the people who identify as that in this bad place and say they're undeserving and everyone else is deserving, we are in an imbalance of the heart chakra. And it doesn't take a lot of paying attention to what's happening in the world to note how out of balance we currently are within the heart chakra space. And what's really sad to me as an energy worker and a conscious human who cares a lot about human society as well as the health of the planet and other species as well, what's really sad to me is when I see people who think that they are doing what's best for the world, who think that they are morally just, creating more division, more hatred, more judgment, and sending that out into the world and claiming that it's love. That is a topsy-turvy heart chakra, and that is a huge leak in the heart chakra. So, what do we do? First and foremost, the question is what's happening within my own heart chakra? When we're talking about eclipses within the Libra Aries axis, we are talking about balancing me and we. Aries is all about me. Libra is all about we. And one thing we have to remember, especially when we're talking about creating large-scale change, energetic consciousness raising change in this world, is that before we can take it outward, we have to take it inward. That type of change starts within and then ripples outward. So what you can do with this eclipse season, noting what's happening in the collective, noticing what's happening in the world, feeling into that collective leak within the heart space. First and foremost, stop and ask yourself, what's happening in my heart? Where am I in my heart? Do I even know what the sensation of unconditional love feels like? Have I ever even felt that? What can help me feel that? These are great questions to be asking ourselves during this eclipse season. If we're finding ourselves in places of deep judgment, black or white thinking, denying or silencing voices that don't align with our own, these are all signs and symptoms of an imbalanced heart space. So if you find yourself falling into those patterns, which I know I have over the last 6 months at times, that's not a time to go out and blame other people. That's a time to look inward. What's happening inside here? Where can I find balance? And another thing that's really, really important to help balance the heart space, and I know this is going to sound a little counterintuitive, but from an energy medicine perspective, this is really, really necessary, especially for really kind, compassionate, intuitive people. We actually need to spend less time in our heart, especially when we're imbalanced in the heart space. We want to bring our energy lower into the solar plexus, which is the place of personal power, into the sacral, which is the space of our authentic emotions, what we're really feeling from a soul level, not our mentally projected emotions and not everybody else's emotions, which is what we feel in the heart, but our own, what we're really, truly, authentically feeling from the soul. That exists in our sacral. And then down to the root, which is our safety and security here on Earth. If we can spend more energy and attention and awareness within those 3 chakras, that alone can help create more balance within the heart space. So this was a longer video than I expected, friends. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Themes of this full moon eclipse in Libra: balance, balance of relationships, balance of emotions within self. Okay. Am I giving the amount of respect, love, compassion, care to others that I want to receive? And are others actually providing that to me as well? These are questions we're going to ask ourselves around this particular full moon. And with the energies of eclipses as well, as much as we can, we want to surrender into the change that is happening around us without forcing or controlling it. And a really big question for us to move into this entire eclipse season with, which we're currently in, and this eclipse season will last until we have the full moon in Scorpio. Yeah, full moon in Scorpio at the end of April, is to keep checking in. What is happening in my heart space? Am I balancing the energy within my own heart? Can I ripple that balance, that space of unconditional love and acceptance and compassion? Can I ripple that out into the world? And if you can't, then get out of your heart space and go lower and find what's really happening inside of you. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. If you want more information about this eclipse, including this full moon with eclipse, including journal prompts, a little bit more about the astrology, and I also have a little list of my personal eclipse do's and eclipse don'ts. You can check out my moon blog by following the link below. I'll have it linked down there. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back in about a week and a half's time to share about the new moon solar eclipse that's happening in Aries, and also to share a little bit more information about my new book, which is launching the day after. So really excited about that. Thank you all so much for being here. Please like, subscribe, save, and share. And I hope you all have a really powerful, a really surrendering, and even a bit restful full moon eclipse in Libra. Bye, friends.